The Sony CMT-C7NT is a compact, Type R NetMD-capable mini system with unique light-up speakers. These have a mirrored finish and fun lighting effects. It's a compact, full-featured system, and as you can see on the rear, proprietary speaker connectors, input-outputs, and a USB connector for NetMD. This is the second unit I've worked on with the same problem. It can't take in nor eject MDs. Here, the disc doesn't go in all the way. Now, when I push the disc in, it reads properly, so that's a good sign. We need to get in and replace the belt. Start by flipping the unit over. That gray piece is just a cover. We'll remove the 8 screws along the edges. Once it's off, you'll see the bottom of the metal sides and some ribbon cables. Flip it over and gently spread the bottom parts of the metal casing and it'll lift right off. Of course, the CD mechanism is at the top, so we'll need to get through that before the MD mechanism. With a unit this compact, they had to fold and tuck everything as flat as possible. Here's the ribbon cable that connects to the front panel. We'll need to remove side screws first. One on each side of the front panel. Then 2 at the bottom of the panel. It should now be loose, and you can untape the ribbon cable for more room to work. But first, one last screw. I'll tape this one in place so I don't confuse it with the others. Now let's gently pry out that ribbon cable. Let's put that aside for now. I'm going to tape this back in place for now. The CD mechanism is sitting on a metal platform that we'll need to remove first. You can see the MD here. It's dirty, so let's clean this off. We don't want dust to get inside. This side has the flat ribbon cables that we'll need to be careful with. Let's start with some screws, one right under the CD mechanism on each side. Then two at the bottom of each side. Once these are off, the CD mechanism and platform will be loose, but you'll need to be careful. It's stuck on something. One of those ribbon cables is taped to the side of the metal platform. Here, under this rear arm, we'll need to pry the ribbon cable off gently. Once that's off, we can remove the whole CD mechanism, but don't pull too far yet. There's another flat ribbon cable underneath that we'll want to remove. Just pull it out gently. One layer down, but we need to go further. First, that ribbon cable, then through the metal shroud. This just slides out gently, but keep it in the right orientation for later. Now for the metal shroud. Just 2 screws on the front will get us into the next layer. You can't see it from here, but there are some screws deeper that I'm looking at. Anyway, back to the 2 screws. Once those are off, the top would lift right off except for more tape that's keeping some cables in place. Over the years, it's gotten old and sticky, but be gentle since it's taped to a ribbon cable. There are 3 flat ribbon cables here, 2 screws, and 2 other wire harnesses. Let's start with this one. Then the 2 in the rear. Then 2 screws. Be very gentle since this old plastic can crack. There are 2 wiring harnesses clipped in, but we'll try to remove just the larger one this time. I inserted thin tweezers to unclip the plastic, then used a small flat screwdriver to push it up and out, one side at a time. Just go slowly and a little bit at a time. I keep switching sides here as I make a bit of progress. This should be enough to get it out. Unlike the first one I worked on, I'm going to leave one harness clipped in and throw this board over the side. And there's the MD mechanism. There's still a bit more work to do though. Sorry you can't see it, but behind this metal box, there are 2 screws at the base. We'll get this one first. This second one is harder because a cable may be in the way. You can use something to push it out of the way if needed. Once that rear one is out, there's one on each side as well. This side is easy, the other is a bit hidden. There's a black plastic flap that the last screw is hiding under. Here, I'll use a screwdriver to move it aside so I can reach the screw. Okay, screws are all out, but this part is still very tricky. This metal box has some plastic feet on it that make it wider than it looks. That width is a problem because there are electrical components on each side that they will bump into. As you can see, it's very tightly fit, and I don't feel safe, so let's loosen the sideboards a bit. One screw on each side should give us a bit more room. Work slowly and gently, and watch the components and cables on each side. We don't want to rip anything off the board. Here, I'm wedging a tool in place to get a bit more space. Let's get it past this plastic connector first. And here it comes. You can see the wide plastic feet that are making this troublesome. Finally, the MD mechanism. Just 4 screws and it'll be out. The MD mechanism is an MDM7 that's used in some other models. We'll need to get this disc out to see the belt. The disc is out, so I'm looking for any cleaning needs. Not bad, since this thing is mostly sealed, unlike a portable. Looking through the front loading slot, you'll see 2 pulleys linked by a belt. The belt may look fine, but it's lost elasticity, so it doesn't function properly. We can simply remove it with tweezers. It's just about 20 millimeters in diameter, and it's square. Luckily, I've got a similar one. Getting it in isn't as bad as you may think. I plan to drop it inside over the big pulley, then stretch it forward. I'll start by getting it in and then over the large pulley. There. Now it's over the large pulley, and I'll simply grab a bit and pull it onto the smaller one. And that's it. That really was just my second attempt. Just double checking. Looks good. And that's it. Time to reassemble. Start by clearing the path and putting the MD mechanism into place. Then it's just those 4 long screws. You may be thinking that we should test this first before reassembling, but it's hard with all the cables we'd need to replace, not to mention the front faceplate. Here, I'm trying to keep that black plastic flap out of the way so I can screw the metal box back in. I'll use the small screwdriver to keep it out of the way. See all those components on the sideboards? We'll need to put the box back in without damaging them. There are the big, bulky plastic pieces that go around the MD mechanism screws. Here's the screw hole we've moved that flap out of the way for. Okay, let's start by getting cables out of the way and work it slowly. Remember, those two rear cables go inside the box. You can pull those sideboards a tiny bit to make space, but be gentle and go slowly. There's a cable in the rear we need to move also. Okay, box is in. Let's get the screwdriver out of the way and screw in 4 screws, 1 on each side, 2 on the rear. Apologies, my camera ran out of space, but again, this part is just 4 screws to secure the metal box. Then we'll flip that board back on top. Sorry I didn't realize it was full sooner. Here we've put the board back on top. Now to connect the wiring harness. And the other ribbon cables. There's a bit of a weird crimp on this one, so I'll flatten it out first. Make sure everything's flat and cables are passing through the side windows since the top needs to go on. Hook the top on from the rear. Here, I'm making sure I'm not crimping any cables. Just 2 screws. Two side screws, then the flat ribbon cable that connects the side boards. I kept it facing the same way, so just push it into place. Next, we stack the CD mechanism on, but we have to connect that ribbon cable also. There's plenty of room to work with, thankfully. Now we push it down gently behind the ribbon cables and line up the tabs. Lined up on both sides, so we'll screw it down. Two screws on this side for now, and 3 on the other. Okay, time for the front faceplate. We'll need to move the red cable over that metal arm. Connect the bottom ribbon cable, then just a few more screws. Two on the bottom of the black faceplate. Then the two flat black ones on each side. A few more screws on each side. Now for the mirrored case. There's a small tab that goes into that rectangular hole. Spread the sides gently and lower it slowly. It's in the right place, so it's time for the gray plastic plate. Eight screws and it's all done. Once it's done, we'll just need to test the disc intake and eject. Let's power on and test. Insert a disc, and it goes in smoothly. Let's test the eject. All good. Another test. It's all good. Well, there you have it. It was a bit of a puzzle box, but a simple belt change has it back in action. It comes with this nice thin remote, and the speakers light up green also. As always, thanks for watching.